Hello, instigators of change. Welcome back to Project Instigate, a place to improve your leadership, learning, and growth strategies. Now, I filmed another video recently, and it had to do with prospecting on social media, especially on LinkedIn, and how to actually go about doing that. So if you haven't watched that video first, I would say go watch that video first, but I don't think the order makes a big deal. But if you kind of want to know what I'm talking about, go watch that video first. I really think that is a good part one to this. So just a recap on that one. Someone had sent me a message on LinkedIn and they were wanting to prospect me as a potential client. Did not go so well for them, and I ended up blocking the person, mainly because the person was very intrusive, rude, and also was really not listening, wasn't paying attention, wasn't really engaging in conversation, wasn't building on the conversation, and just really wasn't interested in getting to know me, just whether I'm a good fit for them as a client. And there's many reasons why that's not a good approach. For someone to know, like, and trust you, you have to show genuine care towards them. So that's the building block of the whole thing, right? But the other component is I talked about a few things in that video. It's a little bit of a longer video, but I talked about a few different things, including why you don't want to tell a client that you're a potential client, that you're actually prospecting them. Not that you're trying to lie to them or be manipulative, but it's kind of like a job interview. So when you go to the job interview, it's quite obvious that you want to get paid. You're applying for a job. There's an expectation that there will be a conversation about money at some point. But you don't walk into a job interview and start with, so how much do I get paid? And, what is, how does the payment work? What do you pay? You don't start with that conversation. You start with a value-based conversation. You talk about the company you're interested in. You show genuine care, genuine research. You say, I've researched your company. I love it because of X, Y, and Z. I love that you guys do this. I always, as a customer, I've had a positive experience and it's made me want to work here, whatever else, right? So, but you don't start an interview with, so how much money do I make? But it's sort of one of those underlying things where the employer knows you want to make money and you know you need to make money. So let's just set that aside for now and first figure out if we're a good fit for each other. And that's really essential in prospecting as well. You don't just go and tell the client, I'm prospecting you, just as you don't go to the employer and say, I'm looking for a job that pays well, kind of thing. So in that sense, we're all prospecting as entrepreneurs and we get prospected, but that was one of the things towards the end of the video, not the only thing, but really the person was not listening, wasn't building on the conversation. But I don't want to get into the details of it. You can just go watch that video. But the thing is, a question that came to my mind when I was revisiting the video was, okay, well, one of the things that the video didn't address is when is a good time to actually prospect. And if you're not going to ask certain questions, how would you know if they're a suitable client for you or not? So here's the deal. So that video was just about how to communicate with a prospect. And I show 2 examples. This video is going to be about what to do before and after. So in terms of qualifying leads, one of the mistakes a person was making was trying to qualify me as a potential client. And you don't do that in chats, in the chat function, in Messenger and things like that. You want to qualify your lead, especially in social media marketing. It's actually quite easy to qualify your leads before you even send them a message. So you would look at their profile, you would look at their LinkedIn page, you'd look at their Instagram, you'd look at their Facebook, their YouTube channel, all that stuff's there, hopefully. And through that, you would know that this is a potential client that's worth adding as a connection, sending a friend request, potentially having a conversation with, seeing if you're compatible, and then potentially proposing that they become your client or letting them ask you to be the client. Whichever way it goes. Sometimes people are excited to work with you and they'll just jump and say right away, can you please coach me? And other times you say, hey, I can definitely help you with this issue, and here's my coaching fees, and so on and so forth. You can do that. But to qualify leads, you don't actually have to have a conversation with the person anymore with the way social media is and how much information there is. Most often, you can actually qualify those leads before having any conversation with them, because they may meet certain criteria, or if you have an avatar, they would meet at least 2 out of 5 or 3 out of 5 criteria that you've set. So that's part one, right? You're not qualifying people while you're chatting with them. You've already qualified them. That's why you're contacting them. You don't just go send connection requests to everybody and then try and chat with everybody and then try to qualify everybody. That's a huge waste of time. So you can very easily, with the way social media is now, you can very easily qualify them initially. And then you have a conversation with them, and the conversation is about them. You talk about how, for example, how impressed you are by their portfolio, what you love about them, maybe engage in their social media post. Start a conversation about something meaningful in the chat section. But the objective is to move that conversation off of the social media chat as quickly as possible. You don't want to linger. Once they're a lead and you have started messaging, you don't want to be asking too many questions in there. You don't want to be answering too many questions in there. You don't want to be wasting a lot of time getting to know the person on the messenger. You want to take them off of that social media platform and onto a in-person coffee, virtual coffee, or chat, or even a phone call as quickly as possible. That should be the goal. Establish enough rapport that they feel you will not waste their time, and then invite them for coffee. Most people will say yes. And then once you actually meet them with the coffee, or for the coffee, and I say coffee, I don't even drink coffee. I'm a hot chocolate kind of person, if you're ever wanting to know. So let's say you want to meet them for hot chocolate. Let's meet at XYZ Cafe for a hot chocolate, or let's do a hot chocolate Zoom call, right? And sometimes I actually like to say that to prospects, and I'll say, would you like to have a hot chocolate chat with me instead of a coffee chat? And it's something a little bit different and interesting, and usually they'll say, yeah, let's do hot chocolate instead of coffee. So then you take them off of the conversation, and then the rest of it happens. They're asking them the right questions, figuring out if you guys are a good match for each other. I would say the process of prospecting for leads for businesses quite close to online dating process, I guess. So you're really trying to get the person off the platform and in person somehow, either phone, Zoom, or physical location if they're close enough and are not concerned about given the pandemic restrictions, depending on where you are, and hopefully that will not be relevant soon, eventually. But essentially, you want to move that conversation onwards. So what are the 3 steps? Step 1 is to qualify your leads on social media before you even talk to them. Nowadays, you can qualify them, right? Once you've qualified them, you send them a connection request, you make it about them. You have a little bit of a chat, you keep it about them, enough that they're interested in you. Then you move them off of that social media chat, social media platform, and then you really try to build that meaningful connection. You want to serve them. You want to, before you ask them anything, you want to say, what can I do for you? So instead of asking them to do something for you, to hire you hire your services or buy your products or something like that, you want to serve them first. And sometimes it can take 2 meetings, sometimes 3, sometimes just 1. And you can just do that, especially in service-based business, because I know my business is a service-based business, but I also have a product-based business, which is a side to my service-based business. But essentially, my primary business is a service-based business, which is public speaking, coaching, corporate training, that kind of stuff, facilitating visioning, strategic planning sessions. So that's generally my process. It's worked really well for me. I will prospect first. I will qualify leads first, contact them second, and take them off of that platform as quickly as I can, and then try to build that relationship over the next meeting or 2. And in that, when it naturally comes up, I'll say, no, please keep me in mind for speaking opportunities, or I'll offer them to join my mastermind or become my coaching client, something like that. But it never happens in the chat section. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you go watch the other video if you haven't already. It is, I give an example of how not to do things, and also an example of how to do, well, 2 different examples of how to do things. And there's some tips on virtual active listening, active reading, but active listening as you would in a conversation, but how do you do it through chats and comment sections and messages. So go watch that video. And then, I hope this adds to the entirety and provides a more complete solution to prospecting. And I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Thank you. Take care.